By Michael Eisner. He is, not including the CEO now, the most recent CEO for the Walt Disney Company. And since I had worked for the company previously, I decided that this would be a good book for me to do my report on. I did not finish it all the way, however, I got a good amount of information from it. So I'm going to kind of talk a little bit over, his life experiences and what was talked about in the book. It starts out, he starts off talking about where he was working for the company already and had to find someone to take over one of the higher up positions just underneath him in the company, where the man he was considering for the job, one of his best friends, actually died in a plane crash. So it starts off kind of with a little bit of a tragedy. He's trying to come back from that and figure out, who he's going to have underneath him since this death occurred. And it was very kind of a difficult task for him to find somebody. He almost found someone from, I believe it was NBC. He found someone, however, that man wanted to be co-CEOs with him, and it was a little bit stepping over the boundary, so he obviously did not choose him. It starts off kind of with that struggle of it. And then it goes into him talking about his heart attack while he was at the Walt Disney Company. He talks about his heart attack and how he actually prepared for not prepare for his death, but like talk to his family as if he was going to die, and he was saying like, I want, you all to take care of me, all this stuff. He talks about kind of a lot of the drama that was behind his heart attack. And then he goes back and he talks about his life leading up to it. So he talks about being born and being raised in kind of an upper class family in the Upper East Side of New York City. Both his parents were super successful. He didn't have kind of that struggle that a lot of people have growing up. However, it didn't stop him from trying hard and getting what he wanted. He didn't use his means to get where he was. He talks a lot about his summer camp growing up and how a lot of the things that he learned at his summer camp he had transferred over into the work life. He talks about his own grandparents and how they were very hardworking, and they actually were the ones that did start from the bottom and worked their way up to build a successful life for the parents that he had. There's one story even how he saw his grandmother walking with groceries outside while he was driving a cab, and he pulled over and picked her up, and she was angry at him for wasting money on a cab. So that's kind of the upbringing he had, that even though he was wealthy and grew up well, that he was raised in a way to not spend money recklessly, I guess. And then it goes into more talking about his high school and growing up, and he went to an all-boys school. It was super competitive, and he was always one of the top in his class, and then he was thrown into college where it was a little bit different, and he had to kind of go from there. Then he elaborates on meeting his wife and starting a family, and how he actually he went to give his college girlfriend a present and found out that she married someone else in the time she hadn't seen him, and then goes that night to kind of get over her, goes to a party and meets his now wife Jane, and of course they get married and have kids and all of that. And then from there it just kind of goes and talks about all his jobs. He starts off at NBC and then goes up to ABC, and after ABC he starts working there and doesn't really like the way it's functioning, so he leaves ABC even though he was at this point really, really high up, and then goes and tries to get the position of CEO at the Walt Disney Company. And of course he does. He works there for a couple of years. That's about the point where I got in the book, but eventually it gets to the point where he is not necessarily loved by the Disney community, and eventually retires, and that's kind of where it is from now. And so he's written a couple of books. This is, I believe, the first one. It's called Work in Progress, Risking Failure, Surviving Success. So yeah, that's who I chose to do my book report on. I thought it would be kind of interesting. From what I did read of the book, I wasn't necessarily super impressed by it. I can kind of see why a lot of people that love the Disney company don't necessarily like him. Even though he got so much praise for this, I don't know, I guess just the way he talks about himself is not necessarily in the most humble terms, and I guess that's something that I can learn from, and not to, I guess, boast about your accomplishments and everything. So, yeah, that's my book. I should have read more of it, but I thought it was still, a good one to read, and a good person to read about, especially having had my background working for the company. Yep. So that's it. Thank you.